is what happens when I'm not paying attention to setting up the camera. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects that you can find around your house. Yes, you. No special equipment required. Hello, my dear. So good to see you in the chat. Yay, look at this. Lots of wonderful folks here today. Huzzah. Hi, everybody. I got really tired about 5 minutes before class started, and I'm not entirely sure why. So I apologize if I'm a little low-key. Honestly, what I think it is that I'm in that terrible point where I am so close to my vacation beginning that both my brain and my body are like, hurry up, time, why aren't we there yet? And they keep trying to rush the process along. I'm just like, but you can't rush the process along yet. We're not there yet, and they're not really listening to me. So yes, I'm feeling oddly tired right now, but you know, it's okay, because there's one thing we talk about a lot. It's meeting ourselves where we are today. So I'm going to meet myself here where I am today, which is kind of tired, happy it's the end of the week, excited I only have one more class to teach before I have my vacation, full of things that I want to do, and a little exhausted by the idea of doing them. Oh my goodness. We're here. We are here. We are here. We're going to do something. It's going to be good. I literally Googled a Pinky in the Brain reference for my my retweets of the official account's posts today. So we are here. We're going to work out. We're going to work out. We're going to get strong so that we can keep fighting for democracy. I was talking to a friend last night. He was like, "That's an interesting brand that you have," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess it is kind of a brand, like socially conscious fitness. I don't know. I don't think it's a brand. I think it's just being a good human, and a good human fights for justice." Yeah. Oh. Mm. But hey, this is so awesome. Amanda, I think, is this your first class back since we got Clara back? Because I know we were going to celebrate last week, but then everything exploded. So yay, first class back, first chance to get that new fitness habit routine going, safe in the knowledge that Kita is safely at home, and I'm sure snuggling somewhere adorable because she's so cute, and I'm so happy she's back. But yay. My friends, yeah, let's just get started, I think. Let's get started. Oh, very cute. Because, you know, sometimes you get into that place where you're like, I know I need to do the thing, but I'm not feeling perfect about doing it, and so I'm going to try and procrastinate a little bit. I think your teacher's trying to procrastinate a little bit. She's calling herself out, as one must. But yes, so welcome to Functional Home Fitness. We're doing weight training using random stuff from around your house. So backpacks that you can fill with books, laundry detergent bottles that I will cover with the backpack because it'll throw my white balance all off. A couple of important advisories, I guess, for class. First of all, we are doing weight training using objects that are not designed for weight training. We're not using gym equipment. We're not using weights that have nice numbers written on them, and so you may not know exactly how much weight an object is. And so, if this is your first time taking class, and you are, trying this out and haven't done weight training with just random household stuff before, I want you to be a little more conservative in your starting weights, because we're not able to load ourselves as thoughtfully as we would be able to in a gym, where we're like, okay, this weight is 15 pounds, this weight is 20 pounds. We don't have that option with, say, the laundry detergent bottle, unless you're, weighing it on a scale. So please be careful and aim for lighter on the initial sets, and then as you get more comfortable with both the exercises and the equipment that you are using, then you can start to increase load and have a better sense of what things weigh and how they work in terms of your weightlifting capacity. So that's advisory number 1. Advisory number 2 is more of a blanket statement for any time you're doing free weight training, and that is when you are determining the amount of weight that you are going to use, always pitch it towards what your weaker side is able to handle, not towards what your stronger side is able to handle. So we are not symmetrical creatures as much as we may wish to be. So we have sides that are stronger and sides that are weaker, sides that are more flexible or less flexible, sides that are better at balance and worse at balance, etc., etc. And for free weight training, it is particularly important that you pay attention, that you know, first of all, which side is stronger, which side is weaker, and that you are loading based on what is a challenge for your weaker side, not what is a challenge for your stronger side. Because if you try to load towards your stronger side, and then your weaker side is using a weight that is way, way too heavy for it, and then it's going to make unhealthy compensations to try and perform the exercise, and that is a great way to set ourselves up for injury, as I know from experience. So make sure, A, that you've identified which side is stronger, which side is weaker, and B, that you are not trying to way overload your weaker side towards what your stronger side can handle. Always pitch towards your weaker side. I keep rubbing my left arm because that's my weaker side, and because I actually injured my shoulder by not paying attention to that particular principle. So you can tell the injuries that I've dealt with in my life by what I focus on. All right, pre-class checklist. We got our water containers. I've already obviously drunk a lot of water from this. Am I thirsty? I might have been thirsty. We got our comfy clothes on. We've got our mats set up. We've got our equipment, which is a piece of the pre-class checklist that we don't usually have, but we do have today. So if you have not grabbed anything, now is the time to really quickly go and grab stuff. And if you're using a fitness wearable, then go ahead and get it started. We're not using high intensity interval training today because that's just not what we're doing. So go ahead and put it on some sort of a strength training setting. That should be fine. Let's begin, my friends. Let's get this party started. Let's start working out. Let's start working out. All right. So here we go. We're heading over to our mats, my friends. We're going to start with our usual warm up. So regardless of what else we are doing, we are always starting with our warm-up sequence. It's a nice anchor point for class. So everybody on your mats, on your backs, one foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as you hear the timer start, we will begin with our hip rocks and bridges. Hey, here we go. Yeah, I definitely am feeling the pre-vacation, why isn't it already vacation time brain, which is kind of nice considering how just overloaded the last 6 months have been with everything happening in the world. It's nice to have a feeling, an emotion that feels that like mundane, for lack of a better word. You know, it's been a while since I have had anything approximating a vacation. The last one was end of February, right before everything shut down and kind of exploded, and so it's nice to be dealing with an emotion that feels very rooted in, you know, previous versions of normalcy. I'm not going to say in normalcy full stop, because normalcy changes depending on life circumstance, and you know, this is normal now, and it is a lot better to recognize and acknowledge that than to cling to previous structures of normalcy. But it is a nice, I guess, piece of nostalgia to just be like, huh, I'm really excited for, and like not even a trip, I'm just really excited for a week where I can truly give myself permission to relax and, you know, unplug and do whatever I want to do, whatever feels good for me. Oh man, the sun is at the perfect height to just be shining straight in my eyes. This is, yeah, I really need to get a new lighting set up, because we've entered that time of year when the sun is just going to be trying to disrupt my process. It's very rude of you, sun. Ow. Yeah, it's not necessarily pleasant, because I'm like, I have more things I need to get done before vacation starts, and I want to be present for them, and I want to be, you know, present right here while we're taking class and having an awesome weight training class. But it is also nice to have an emotion that feels very rooted in a previous version of stability that still feels very stable. We're gonna all make it through, and then we'll have class tomorrow, which is always an awesome time. And then I will ride off into the sunset for a week. Not the sunset, but I will ride off to play D&D, and then I will ride off into the sunset for a week, which will be lovely. I hope that you all are also planning, you know, maybe you don't have the flexibility to take like a legit vacation, which is something I totally understand. I mean, we've talked about how for a lot of people, trying to take a vacation means determining that it's okay to just not have any income for that entire week, which is, you know, not something that is possible for many. But even just planning a rest week for yourself that sort of reduces the responsibilities that you have. You know, maybe you can't take time off of work, but maybe now is a great time to plan a rest week from exercise, because we talk about that a lot. We talk about the importance of the rest week in your as a component of your fitness practice. And I will continue to hammer that home for people over and over again. And I understand the reasons why people really dislike taking rest weeks, you know, because people get into a nice habit and flow, and they don't want to disrupt that, and because exercise is awesome and it makes you feel really good, and you don't necessarily want to disrupt that. But it is healthier for you and better for your overall fitness practice in the long run to have regularly scheduled rest weeks, not just days of the week. You should always have a few days of the week that are for rest as well. You know, you shouldn't be doing super intense, high intensity interval training classes 7 days a week. you should absolutely have rest built into each week. But, you know, as I've said before, every 4 or 5 weeks approximately, you want to give yourself a rest week where you, yeah, rest, you know, don't take this class, you know, maybe go for walks instead of going for runs, and just give your body a chance to recuperate, to fully heal from any small, you know, micro issues that might otherwise turn into bigger injuries, and let it, you know, let it root itself in the progress it's made, so that when you come back to class, it's ready to push you into the next phase of your progress, you know? And it's really important. A lot of times, like, we hit that plateau and we don't feel like we are making any progress. A lot of times, it's just because we're not giving our body the chance to rest and absorb. You know, we are just continually hammering on it and pushing it and not giving it any chance to actually process what it's doing. And overtraining is a huge issue that we don't really talk about a lot. And one of the symptoms of it is not making progress that you want to make, or actually seeing reductions in your performance. And you know, that's your body again learning to read the signals that your body is sending you. That is your body desperately banging on the doors to your brain going, help, please give us a rest for the love of all that is holy. We just need a rest. We just need to be able to sit back and recuperate. So, you know, if you want to try to have a more regular schedule for your rest weeks, obviously most of the time I'm not taking a legit full vacation off of streaming for my rest weeks. I do, you know, like 2 weeks in a row where I just do much less in class than I normally would. And it's not ideal, but it's what I would rather do, because I want to be as consistent as possible with my streams and with these classes. But I do try and, you know, let people know when I'm doing that. So if you've been trying to figure out, you know, if you've been struggling to give yourself permission to have a rest week, then, you know, again, thinking about the times when having that external accountability voice are useful, maybe you tie those rest weeks to when I mention in class that I'm about to do a rest week. You know, maybe you use that as your external cue, your external signal to go, oh yeah, I guess it is that time again. And that is a great way to do it, you know? That's absolutely a great way to do it. And that way we can keep each other accountable and keep reminding each other that it is important to rest. It is important to sit down, to let your brain and your body be, and to not continually be trying to force yourself to be productive, whatever that means. So, yeah, that you know what? I feel like that's a good challenge. That's a good challenge to everybody. As I'm heading into my rest week, I want you to think about your exercise practice. Think about how many days a week you are currently exercising, how many days a week you're taking this class, what other activities you're doing, And I want you to think about the last time that you had an extended period of time that you could call a rest week, you know? Not just, oh, well, I worked out, you know, one fewer days last week than I usually do, but a legit week where you really were not doing anything more intensive than going out for a nice walk, or bopping around in the garden a little bit, or, you know, things like that. And if you don't have a great answer, if you don't necessarily remember the last time, then maybe it is time for you to enjoy your own rest week, and to see how that feels. Take some time off. Give yourself that permission, you know, not begrudgingly, not spending the whole time feeling like like you are dropping the ball or something like that, but legitimately saying, okay, this is important, this is what I'm going to do today. Turn on my AC is what I'm going to do today. And then we can both come back to class the following week with more energy, more stamina, and, you know, just secure in the knowledge that we've allowed our bodies to rest, recharge, and recuperate so that they can come back to exercise stronger than ever, and so that we can keep achieving the things that we want to achieve. So, yeah, if it's time for you to do a rest week, then maybe next week you come with me on that journey. If it's not yet time, if you've done a rest week recently, that's great. You know, stick with the schedule next week. Come to class. But definitely try and keep an eye on when that last rest week was, and make sure that you are paying attention to when the time does roll around, that it makes sense for you to do your own rest week, you know. And I will try and remind people as much as possible. And obviously, you know, if you're working with me directly as a personal trainer, I absolutely build rest weeks into my clients' schedules. But, you know, here in class, we're not doing quite that same degree of personalized attention. So it's important for you to pay attention to. It's important for you to deliberately and willingly schedule into your month, into your calendar. Go, all right, here we are. It is the time for me to really settle in, relax, catch up on my reading backlog, catch up on my video game backlog, catch up on my movies and television and YouTube and all of that stuff, and give myself a chance to really rest and recover and come back the following week stronger than ever, okay? So make sure you're doing that, because it's important. Whew. And I can feel it, you know? I can absolutely feel, even right now, while I'm doing this warm-up that we've done so many times in the last 6 months, and that I personally have done so many times over the last, 3 or 4 years, I can feel my body just being kind of exhausted, feeling a little run down, a little overtrained, and just really, really asking me for a rest. And I want to pay attention to that. I want to honor that so that my body knows that I will pay attention when it says these things to me, and thus then knows that it can be assured of some rest when it needs it. Oh, hi everyone. Yes, and you know, you definitely, I think, have the absolute right idea. You know, obviously you need to get those posters down, and your schedule's been kind of all over the place. So definitely take some time and get some exercise in for the love and joy of it. But, you know, now that you have more space again in your brain, start thinking about how you will be able to structure that overall process. All right? Oh, let's get some water, my friends. I also might be tired because I had a giant cup of instant tonkatsu ramen an hour and a half before teaching. And that's probably making its way through my system. So maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? All right. Yeah, right? I don't have time for ramen comas. I'm on stream. I'm literally teaching right now. Okay, so last time we had class, which I recognize was 2 weeks ago because last week was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. We did a very different timer structure that I know threw some people for a loop, totally understandably. Today we are doing the more usual timer structure. So we'll have our 2 minute 2 minute sequences. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I think today actually will. See, this is the problem when you're going into a ramen coma. This is absolutely the problem. Yeah, you know what? We're doing 3 minute timers. We're gonna have more reps that are a wider range that I'm gonna give you, and we are gonna go through 3 times. Okay, so 4 exercises, 3 times each. I can math. Can she math, folks? She can math. Yeah. And that's going to be actually, no, you know what? We're gonna go through them 4 times with 2 minute timers. I do like that structure better. I think it just makes more sense. So I don't know if it'll blend. Like my brain feels like it's in a blender right now, so anything's possible. All right. So 4 exercises. And all of these exercises are gonna be ones where we're gonna be alternating each time we come around to the exercise, alternating which side we perform it on. So just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna start out with my trusty laundry detergent bottle, because the first exercise is gonna be 1 dumbbell toe raises. So we want it to be next to something that we can hang on to for balance, so a counter or a wall, something along those lines. If you have stairs near where you are doing class, generally I would be doing this exercise off of the edge of a stair so that my heel could hang down off the back of the stair. You can do it from the ground, it's totally fine. Obviously, I don't have stairs handy in here, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to hold the detergent in one hand, and I'm going to balance on that same foot, okay? And we're just going to lift up onto our toes and down and up and down. So the weight just adds additional resistance that the muscles of the calf have to push against in order to push you up onto the ball of your foot. So I'm just balancing on one foot, the other foot is off the floor, and then up and down and up and down. So we'll alternate sides each time we come back around to that exercise. Second exercise is going to be upright rows. I'm going to show you two possible ways to do this. If you have items that are about the same weight, and again, we don't necessarily know that because we're not using like traditional gym weights. So I'll show you this way, but if you don't have objects that can do that, that's totally understandable. We're going to do a bent over row. So if you have two weights, then you want your feet about hip width apart, and you're going to take yourself into just a small bend in the knees, not a full-on squat, and you're going to do a flat back forward, okay? So I'm not rounding my back. I'm taking it nice and flat. My butt's going sort of behind me, letting the weights come out in front of me, in front of my knees, and just rowing up and down and up and down. So if you have two weights that are a good amount of weight for you, that you can do that, awesome. If you would rather do it with one weight, then the way for you to do that is to come up to some sort of surface like the arm of a chair or a small table. Try and get a knee and a hand up there and keep the weight that you're using in front of you, and then row up like that. So if I show you from the side, I'm putting my knee up on the arm of this chair and the hand for balance, and then I'm just going to perform the row like this. So if you're doing it that way, then again, each time you come around to this exercise again, you're going to want to make sure that you're alternating sides. Or you can do the traditional, I have two objects in my hands, I'm taking this position, and I am rowing like that, okay? Third exercise is going to be our one dumbbell frog bridges. I knew you were coming apart, puzzle pieces. So we're going to put the soles of our feet together and let our knees just open out like this, and lie down on the ground and put your weight, whatever you're using, on your pelvis, okay? And then you're going to bridge up like this. Just push your hips up as high as you can, then let them down and up and down and up and down, okay? That one you obviously don't have to alternate for. And then fourth exercise is going to be a tricep extension. So I am going to do this with a backpack, and I'm going to load it with books. Textbooks are great for this. So loading that with a book, nice heavy book, and I am going to bring the bag up above my head. Here, let me back up a little bit so you can see everything. So the backpack itself is going along the back of my arm. My arm is pointing straight up in the air. I'm standing in a nice, stable position, and I'm just going to bend at the elbow and bring the bag down, and then push it back up, and down, and up, and down, and up, okay? And again, I'm going to want to alternate each time I come back around to this exercise. So the second time I will do my other side. All right? So those are our 4 exercises, and we are going to do, I'm going to just grab my equipment so that I'm not constantly awkwardly running up to the camera, but we are going to go through 4 times each, and we'll have 2-minute timers. So as soon as you hear the horn, you start doing the exercise. I'm going to ask you to do somewhere in the range of 20 to 35 reps, okay? So whatever you need to do to make that happen, maybe that means that you need to start with a slightly lighter weight to see what you're comfortable doing, and then you can increase over the course of the class, and that's totally awesome, okay? So everybody over to your mats, and let's get this party started. So first exercise, remember, is the 1 dumbbell toe raises. So as soon as you hear the horn go, you will begin that exercise. And hey, we're off. And remember that you want to do all of your reps in a row right now, okay? So you are not, doing a few reps and then taking a rest and then doing a few more. You want to do all of the reps in a row and then use the rest of the timer for a rest period, all right? So that's why the timer is so long. It can feel really weird when you're like, why is this timer 2 minutes long? It's to give you that built-in rest period in addition to the amount of time that you need to do all of the reps. So hopefully it all works out that you have a nice little bit of rest in between each exercise, and but just keep that in mind, because I've definitely had miscommunications with clients before where I was not clear on what we were supposed to be doing. You are supposed to do all of the reps in a row at once, and then rest, stretch out a little bit, make sure you're drinking your water, and you'll hear the knock, knock, knock sound when you have 10 seconds before the timer goes again. And as we know from our Tabata timers, anytime you hear the knock, knock, knock sound, that means that it's time to get in position for whatever our next exercise is, okay? So hopefully you're drinking water and not just jabbering away like I am. It would be a little weird if you were, talking to your laptop, but hey, all right, so now we're going to do bent over rows, either both arms at once or 1 arm at a time. I'm doing 1 arm at a time because I don't really have any household items that I found that are an appropriate weight for what I want to be working for my arms. And so I would rather do the 1 arm at a time process so that I can make sure that I'm really working both arms. But that's just for me. If you've got, 2 of this style of laundry detergent bottle, or 2 encyclopedias that you can safely hold in your hands, or, 2 tote bags that feel like they are the same amount of weight, rock on. Do the bent over rows version. The whole, ethos of the Friday class is creativity, is making sure that we all know that we do not need to be in a gym with a lot of fancy equipment in order to get an awesome weight training workout, okay? Because that's one of the things that really throws us for a loop when we are in periods of upheaval, like we are right now, is feeling like we are completely unmoored from everything that used to give us purpose and used to be a part of our structure, And so we we need to find ways to spark that creativity and to be like, okay, we can still do this class even though we are not in a gym, even though we don't have fancy dumbbells set up, even though we don't have the perfect surface. That is still not something that needs to stop us from doing, from getting a really awesome workout. Okay? So, come with me on this journey, because it's a good reminder to me, and I hope it's a good reminder to you as well. And just a way for us to show ourselves that just because our previous rituals and routines are disrupted doesn't mean that we do not still have the capacity to build new routines and new process and new ritual in whatever new circumstances we find ourselves in, okay? It's really important to remember, and it can be really easy to lose track of. I know for myself, I really struggle with that. I struggle with feeling like I have lost track of the things that were keeping me grounded. And I struggle with building new process back. So as much as I'm here trying to remind you and to teach you, and to help you feel confident in your ability to move into this new space and build out these new structures, I'm also reminding myself, we are all here in uncharted waters, and we are all doing the best that we can. We are, and some days that doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel like our best is very good. And those are the days, again, where it's so important to come back to just the life bare minimum, which I've talked about in a few classes last week. We have the class bare minimum when you're taking class here with me, where if you're new to class or you're just coming back after a long absence, then the only things that I need you to focus on are starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. For our life bare minimum, I determined the other week the 4 things that I feel like are included in that: feeding ourselves, hydrating ourselves, getting some sleep, and moving our bodies. Not necessarily exercise, because just the word exercise carries its own baggage, It carries images of super buff dudes clanking iron and people yelling at you like they're a fucking boot camp instructor. So when I say moving your body as part of your bare minimum, I mean, hey, have you been sitting in that chair for 3 hours? Get up and go make yourself some tea. Congratulations, you've moved your body. And it's really important for us to focus in on that foundation on the days that we are struggling to focus in on any other foundation. All right? So, all right, we have come around full circle, and we are starting again back on our toe raises. So hopefully you remembered the side that you started on, so that you made sure to alternate this time. That is a very important component of this class, is making sure that you remember what side you started on, so that you are actually alternating and you don't end up at the end of class with like one super Popeye arm and one arm that's just like, but I'm here too. Very important things. Oh, water. Make sure you're drinking your water. Speaking of hydrating. Here we go. Make sure you're not choking on your water like I just did. Goodness. I feel like, it's interesting. I feel like this topic always, or not always, but frequently comes up when I'm teaching the Friday class. And I'm not sure what it is about the Friday class that brings me back around to introspecting on our ability to rest and focusing on just congratulating ourselves when we are able to achieve the bare minimum of food, water, movement, sleep, without pressuring ourselves in a capitalistic model to always be producing. Because that's such a huge problem. That is, I think, one of the biggest problems, I would say, in our current society is we have devalued rest to such a degree that even in our periods of time that should be focused on rest for us, we still feel like we're supposed to be productive. It's something that people talk about, how hobbies are not a thing that many of us have anymore, because there's this sort of inherent expectation that if you are going to be spending time on something, that you need to be really good at it, or what's the point? And B, you should be monetizing it somehow, or what's the point? I'm going to open these shades a little bit because I think the sun, the demon day star, has finally gone down a bit. Oh yeah, much better lighting. And so we don't really have hobbies anymore, things that we are doing just for the pure pleasure of them, regardless of whether we're going to ever be, Picasso or Placido Domingo or, Usain Bolt, like, regardless of whether I can open an Etsy store or, self-publish something, like, just doing things for the love of them and for the joy of them without putting that hustle and grind pressure on ourselves. We're really bad at it. And I feel like maybe one of the reasons that I notice this a lot in our Friday classes is just because, even when we move into the weekend, and obviously weekends don't mean as much as they used to, considering, gestures vaguely at everything. But, when we move into the weekends, it feels like we don't necessarily, we're still not actually moving into a restful mindset. Because even if we are doing something that we might term a hobby, there is a portion of our brain going, okay, so when are you going to monetize this? When are you going to start a YouTube channel or do that, create that Instagram page for painting your minis and, all of that stuff. Like, how are you going to share this with the broader world on social media, et cetera, and not everything has to be about that, Sometimes we should just do things because they bring us joy. Now, it's that Marie Kondo thing. Does it bring you joy to sing? Then who cares if you're going to be a professional singer, or if you're just singing in your apartment or in your shower? Don't stop singing just because you're never going to be able to monetize it. Sing! Singing is amazing, Yeah, about this a lot, and I feel like a lot of the things that used to bring me joy, I fell away from a lot in recent years, you know, as I moved into adulthood, but even more noticeably in recent years, as I started to, you know, develop this sort of rise and grind mentality that is way too prevalent in our society right now. And you know, I lost track of what it felt like to get up and write every morning, not because I was planning out like, oh, when will I be able to publish this, but just because I love writing, and sometimes you have ideas in your head that you want to get out into the world, you know? So these are the things I'm thinking about. There's a, man, the chat's blowing up and I want to look at it. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Part of the problem is that full-time jobs are no longer a guarantee of paying enough money to live on. That is absolutely an issue. And it's terrifying. It is so terrifying. And I understand it, you know. I certainly I have a number of jobs right now because I don't have one that is capable of paying all of my bills. I am really lucky that this right here is something that I'm doing for the love of it, but also something that I'm really excited to build out as a business. But it also makes it a lot harder to hang on to the things that you do for the joy of them and for the pleasure of them when it feels like all of your waking moments need to be consumed by how am I going to make my next bill. And you know, that starts to tie very easily into the failures of late stage capitalism and the fact that any of us feel so insecure and unstable that we can't even fucking have hobbies because we need to focus so much more attention on how am I going to make the money that I need to survive than our parents or our grandparents ever had to do, you know? My grandparents didn't have to think about monetizing all of their habits and all of their enjoyed activities. They had the ability to go to work and do that and then go home and play saxophone because they loved it, or do needlepoint or cross stitching because they loved it, or knitting or singing, you know, anything like that. And that has become less and less possible over the last few decades, certainly since I've become an adult. Oh man, painting for yeah. See, but that's amazing, and it's absolutely incredible that you feel comfortable saying, no, these activities are for me. They're not ones that I want to turn into money. And that is absolutely beautiful. I don't think I knew that you painted. I would love to see some of your work, not because I want to commission it, just because I love to take joy in the things my friends do for joy. But it's hard. I mean, capitalism has failed on so many axes, but this is definitely one of the ones where I feel it the most. This, you know, this constant, pathological almost, drive to monetize everything, you know, because of both the issue of how am I going to make my bills and the issue of, well, I live in a society that is still being driven by these terrible, abusive puritanical work ethics that tie every ounce of your self-worth to constantly moving and producing and creating and doing and no value to resting and letting our minds wander and creating things for joy and not for money. So, it feels like that is one of the next big revolutions, is taking back our ability to enjoy our time and have it be restful. And man, do I need another light. I apologize for how the lighting is just going to go bonkers for the rest of the stream. But this is a good reminder that I told myself I was going to try and order some equipment over next week. And clearly I need to do so. Whee! I'll come and read that message in a second. We're coming in on our third time through for our one dumbbell frog bridges. What a weird what a weird combination of words to say. I don't even I understand where the frog image comes from for this particular exercise, but if I just walked up to a stranger who wasn't particularly versed in free weight exercises, had never taken this class, and asked them to describe what they thought a one dumbbell frog bridge was supposed to be, I have a feeling I would get some beautiful and ridiculous responses. And I would love to see them. Oh God, the last thing that still brings me joy that I haven't monetized yet. I don't remember the name of that crap shop, but I do remember that crap shot. Oh my goodness. Yes, text me some photos. Text me some photos of your art if you feel comfortable doing so, that's the other beautiful thing about doing things for ourselves and not for the outside world, is that we can share them when we want to, and we can keep them for ourselves when we want to. I know that I have a lot of poetry that I am excited to share with people at some point, and a lot of poetry that I'm like, no, that's just for me. That's my piece right there. Something out of Monty Python. It absolutely does. I feel like that would show up in the Ministry of Silly Walks or something like that. There would be there would be a hop involved, and it would just be absolutely ridiculous. All right, coming back around for our tricep extensions. The one problem with doing this with a backpack is that the straps of the backpack frequently get hooked around my elbow. Make sure that you are keeping your wrist nice and stable and straight as you're doing this, not letting it get dragged on too much by the weight. You want that stability in the wrist to be present at all points during this exercise, okay? I apologize for not saying that earlier, but you definitely, so you don't want your wrist to just be like, okay, this is sort of where I've ended up. Because then we're hyperflexing, it's not good, it's gonna put weird pressures on the nerves that go through our wrist into our hands, and just can cause all sorts of not fun stuff. So yeah, please keep an eye on that, and just always try and keep nice, stable wrists, nice straight wrists too, not letting them sort of bend awkwardly like this. All right. Oh, I didn't know you streamed your painting sometimes. Yay! I love it. I'm so excited. So excited. I love the idea of doing of having a stream, like maybe an every other week stream or a once a month stream that's more of a let's work on something crafty and just sort of chill and chat, you know, like a true just chatting stream. So I feel like when I figure out what my next like knitting project is going to be, or my next crocheting project, that I will add that into the schedule. All right, my friends, guess what? Here we are in our final run through these exercises. So here's our last time for our one dumbbell toe raises, and you know the rest at this point. This is round 4, so this is a good opportunity to just check in on our form. How are we feeling? How are our muscles feeling? Have they been fatiguing more and more the farther you get into class? Or have you, did you do your first few rotations through and go, okay, I can add more reps, or I can add more weight. I'm feeling like I have that capacity. Because a lot of this, the reason that I do the body weight classes primarily, besides the fact that I really love them, is because I really do wish that we were in a room together for this kind of intensive like weight training class, because there is an art and also very clear science to loading and increasing load for weight training, and it is something that I think people benefit from having a professional in the room for. So I am considering, as as we move through time, whatever time means these days, I'm considering sort of shifting the focus of functional home fitness to still be one where we use equipment for weights, for free weight-based exercises, but make it more similar to what we did 2 weeks ago, which was more in line with what I would do in my in-person classes if I was teaching functional home fitness. I don't generally teach those as just a straight up weight training class. I teach them as a very similar overall timer structure to my body weight classes, but just with lots of exercises mixed through there that use weights instead of being pure body weight exercises. So I am considering making some of those shifts for this Friday class, and I'll think about it more obviously over next week, as I'm digging into a lot of the what's next for the channel. What do I want to add, what do I want to change, what's working, what might be able to be improved on. And if y'all have any comments, any requests, any feedback that you've been wanting to pass along, please do send it my way. Now is a great time. I feel like as we move into October, it's going to be sort of a new shifting point for the channel in terms of trying to ramp some things up and build some things out. So now's a great time to let me know, what you've really been wishing I was doing, or a class structure that you would love, or recommendations for fitness-focused video games, because that is still a segment that I very much want to do. I want to start testing out fitness-based video games, because there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them out there, and I feel like it would be really, really fun to have a segment like that on the stream, or if you have a copy of any ridiculous aerobics VHS tapes or DVDs from earlier eras, because that is another stream idea that I am definitely going to start up. If I can get my hands on some Jane Fonda workout tapes, I feel like that would be a very appropriate place to start, given our class's frequent referencing of Jane. But yeah, just there's a lot of stuff, and I've been talking to you guys for a while about a lot of the things that I'm hoping to do with the channel, and I think that having a week to relax and recuperate and come back stronger is exactly what I need, and I think it's going to be great for the channel as well. And I can't wait. Oh my God, get in shape girl stuff from the 80s. Oh, my dear friend Cassie goes to garage sales very frequently. I should ask her to keep an eye out for for any ridiculous workout videos she might come across. Ooh. Oh, that was a great idea. Yeah, I'm sure. Just to be clear, I do not own any leotards anymore, which is shameful for a dancer, but whatever. And I am not going to be wearing the leotards cut up above my pelvic bone. That's just, that's not a vibe that we're going to be going for in class, okay? That's not really what we're going to be focusing on. I like my comfy pants and my comfy tanks rather than the leotard and tights look. Although I do own leg warmers, so who knows? Maybe when we get closer to Halloween, we're definitely going to have to do a Halloween stream where we do class in costumes. That is absolutely going to be something that we have to do, especially considering that we're not really going to have many opportunities to celebrate Halloween in our usual ways, which is just wild and sad, honestly. I feel like I'm very glad that most of the things that I was brokenhearted to have not happened this year were a number of months ago. So I've sort of been able to move through that particular grieving process. But I'm sad about Halloween, and it's so tragic to look back on, us in March or April or even May, and the optimism with which we were like, oh man, Halloween's going to be great this year because we're all going to want to celebrate. And yet here we are. Here we are. And it can feel really frustrating. All right, we're almost to the end of this timer, so we can let's all just settle in. Let's hang out by the fire, and by the fire I mean by our webcam. It can feel so unsettling to see people around us behaving as if the pandemic is over. I know that I struggle with that a lot, and it's almost a form of gaslighting, where it's like, did I imagine this giant world-shattering pandemic that has swept throughout the globe and killed, hundreds of thousands of people just in the US? And no, you didn't imagine it. It's happening. But you can be forgiven for wondering, considering the number of people out there who are starting to behave as if it's not a thing, or as if precautions no longer need to be taken. And I think I talked the other week about a friend of one of my best friends who posted an Instagram story that was like, so nice to be going back to bars again post-COVID. And it was like, what's post-COVID? Colorado has one of the worst spikes in the country right now because of CU being in session. I am very glad I'm not in Florida. I mean, don't even get me started on the politicizing of COVID response, because that's a rabbit hole and we will be here all night. we will be on the stream all night if I start ranting and raving about how taking care of each other shouldn't have ended up being politicized. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting to see people who we care about not taking it seriously. Which is a really special kind of hell, I think. And, you know, if you've been struggling with that and feeling that, I feel ya. I have too, and it's awful. It sucks. It sucks. And I promise you, you're not overreacting. You're not alone. We're out here. We are out here trying to do our best to take care of ourselves and to take care of each other, to take care of our communities. And that is incredibly important work, whether or not everybody around you is willing to put in the same amount of work. It sucks that it's falling more on your shoulders, more on my shoulders. It's not fair, and we should hold people to account as best as we can. But don't ever let anyone make you feel bad for taking the precautions that you're taking, because we all should be doing that. You know, we all should be taking care of each other, because we need that strength right now. We need that stamina right now. We need that health right now, so that we can keep fighting for justice. And yeah, so please continue to be good to yourselves and to be good to each other. All right, my loves. That was a good class. It was a chill class. That's, I think, one of the other reasons why I'm thinking of shifting the structure of Fridays is, you know, it's nice to have a chill class, but sometimes it feels a little too chill for my taste. Like, I do want it to be a little bit more challenging. So I do think that I will probably make some more tweaks to the structure of the Friday class. But today, given how exhausted and worn down my body and brain were feeling at the beginning of class, I feel like this was exactly what I needed. And I hope that it was exactly what you needed. So yay. There's just one more class this week, and that's tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. And then next week, as I've said many times throughout this week, next week the streams will be still going on as usual, but they will be rebroadcasts of previous VODs. So it'll be the same class on each day, but it will be a VOD. So if I'm talking about things that you're like, that happened like a month ago, yeah, there's a reason for that. So please do, you know, come to the stream next week. Class will still be going on as usual. If you're not doing a rest week yourself, then class will still be here for you. But I will be taking a much needed break. Definitely would. Good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. And, you know, especially when we're coming back to exercise, and especially when we're coming back to exercise after periods of lots of anxiety and lots of intensity, you know, it is, again, it's the reason why I tell people to do the bare minimum, because we don't need to jump straight in to the deep end and ramp it up to 11. Having a little bit of an on-ramp is really helpful, and it will help you to feel excited about coming back next week and doing more, you know, as opposed to just trying to give it 120% and then going, oh, well, that was awful, I don't want to do that again. You know, that defeats the purpose for all of us. So yay, I'm glad that you were back. I'm glad that you enjoyed class. I'm glad that you were all here. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those handles will be in my end cards. My YouTube channel is where all of the VODs from this class are stored. Sorry, just turning my watch off. And there'll be lots of supplemental material going up there as we've talked about. So head over there and subscribe if that's your jam. If you want to help me keep supporting me in making these streams, I do have a Coffee account and always appreciate donations for that. And please do follow this channel if you want to help keep building this community and building these streams out. We've rounded the final hurdle towards 50 followers, which is exciting. And then after that is achieved, there'll just be one more metric that I need to hit before I will be eligible for affiliate status, which is really cool. It means that people will be able to subscribe to the channel and like emotes and all that stuff, which would be really awesome. So yeah, tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell your enemies. If they're looking for a good workout class, send them my way. And thank you for being here. I am gonna go relax, I think, and drink a lot of water and just chill. And I hope that you all do the same. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see some of you back here tomorrow morning. Mwah. Have a great night.